I want to talk about crazy things, foolish things, silly things. Some would even call them things of the world, but God knows. God knows. Things like movies. Things like movies that are spiritual. Spiritual movies. Maybe you've heard of this movie called Yesterday. Very spiritual movie. It's about a man, but it's really more than just him, but he's the center of it, more or less. And he wants to be he is a musician, but he wants to be a successful musician. And one night he's riding his bike, and as I recall, he gets hit by a truck. I don't want to give you too many spoilers, but I don't know how to talk about the movie without that. But there's some kind of phenomena. And when he wakes up the next day, I think he'd been practicing the song, one of the Beatles songs, and he sings it. And everybody says, "Oh, that's a beautiful song. When did you write that?" And he finds out he's in a world where nobody knows the Beatles. And he remembers all these Beatles songs. But nobody else knows the Beatles. He runs to his computer and he Googles Beatle, and Beatle, B-E-A-T-L-E, and B-E-E-T-L-E keeps coming up. He can't find any reference to the Beatles. Nobody remembers the Beatles but him, or so he thinks. And yeah, it's kind of hard, like I said, to speak of it without too many spoilers, but yeah, he tries to remember all his songs. He tries to remember all the lyrics right, and sometimes he gets them wrong, but basically he gets them right, and he starts singing all these songs, and people are amazed. Where did you get this talent from all of a sudden? You were pretty good, maybe even mediocre, but my goodness, how did you get all of these songs? And he becomes famous, worldwide famous, and sought after, and has contracts, and he knows it's not him doing it, but it's just too much, Everybody's just loving it. And then finally he meets two other people that also remember the Beatles. In a world where everybody doesn't know or doesn't remember, or it's as if the Beatles had never existed. And at the very first, he's a little timid. He figures, oh man, these guys know I didn't write the songs. I'm going to hear it from them. I'm going to take a rebuke. I'm going to take a chastening. I'm going to take a scourging, because they know I'm a fraud. And he comes clean. He comes clean because he can't help but come clean. He can't avoid it. They know. They know the songs are not his. But man, he finds out, because they both say, "Oh no, we're not angry with you at all, brother. We love you, because neither of us are singers. Neither of us are singers, and you're bringing this back to the world. This thing that we couldn't understand either was suddenly lost. We thought we were the only two that remembered." Oh yeah, it's a very spiritual movie for those who can see. And if you see differently, it doesn't mean you're not spiritual. But if you see it spiritually, you see every generation, in every generation, something needs to be discovered and rediscovered. Open up the old wells. Yeah, open up the old wells. Remove the impediments out of the road. Move the stones out of the way. So that the one who is not any of us can be seen. And yet who is in those who are his. But we sure know we didn't come up with the music. We sure know we didn't come up with the way. And sometimes accolades come. Oh my goodness, this guy seems to whatever, And we put them on a pedestal. Oh my goodness. What depths this fella has. I think of Watchman Nee, my brother, in the faith. And many others. Oh, many, many others. People I've had the privilege to walk with. Brother and Apostle Yashfe Be'eula Hepzibah. Yeah. Although he was mostly despised. Even as Watchman Nee was mostly despised in his day. Even as I'm sure many others, I've come across others, as one brother, Ralph Bernard. Oh, I'm sure he took a lot of heat, but somebody in the faith, another faithful brother, has made me aware of him, Yeah, he said something like, one of these days you're going to find out it's just you and Jesus. There's just two men in the earth, you and Jesus. That's right. You find out there's just two men in the earth. You and Jesus. Oh, yeah. You'll find out. And there's lots of people. You can get a crowd. You can get a gang going. You can get whatever. But eventually, it's just going to be you and him. You and him. And then you may be able, by the grace of God, to relate to what you think are others. But that's never going to take place until it's just you and him. Me, the con man, and Jesus, the true man. And the winner is. Oh, another very spiritual movie, The Green Mile. Oh, my goodness. Rich. Remarkably rich. Not only so, but The Shawshank Redemption, remarkably rich. Man ends up writing about hope to another man who may be flagging in it. He writes, hope may be the greatest thing. And the man he writes it to, who has gotten out of jail, out of prison. Such a beautiful story. This other one who went ahead had gone to prepare a place for him. Zihuatanejo. Do you remember it, Red? Do you remember the name of the place? Zihuatanejo. And he finds his friend had, and was waiting, and was working, and was glad to see him in Zihuatanejo, where they were free. Oh, yeah. Green Mile, yeah, oh, yeah. If you can't see the spirit in that, I don't know. I don't know. God knows. The interesting thing of it all, what can't be denied of some interest, written, The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption, written by a man who wrote the goriest horror stories, things Christians ordinarily go this about, keep away from me, you devil. Carrie, Cujo, Christine, a demon-possessed car, The Stand, The Shining, a man who looks like he's kind of given over to thinking a lot about devilish things and the dark places and the dark arts. Yet he's able, by the grace of God, somehow to find something to write The Shawshank Redemption about a man wrongly accused who does his time and escapes. He doesn't do all his time. He escapes. But he's wrongly accused, and you know it. And he's patient. And he is far wiser than anybody gives him credit for. He is far wiser. He is seen as just another prisoner. But he's patient. And he goes to prepare a place for his friend. A friend who had been so institutionalized, so used to being in prison, that he himself had thought about doing something to go back there because it was easier than being free. But something, hope, kept him going. And again, the Green Mile. Particular place and scene in the Green Mile where a man accused by the law and found guilty by the law for something he did not do, has this ability to take the sickness and the evil that people are suffering into himself and deliver them. And there's that scene where the warden's wife, healed of cancer, now awake, now alive, now healed and whole, sees him and said, I had a dream. But was it a dream? We met in a dark place. We met in a dark place. Yeah, I've met a man in a dark place who could heal me. I met a man in a very dark place. I was stumbling through, and I met him because he had pointed me to meet him. There's nothing of my own. And he healed me, and is healing me by the grace of God. Oh, yeah. Like I said, what an odd thing, right? Same guy who writes all these terrible horror stories. And that man who was accused, that man who was accused and found guilty before the law of murder, of which he did not commit, and of which the man watching over him, in this case Tom Hanks, was made aware of how things really happened and went down. And yet was assigned to put this man to death, to walk him down that Green Mile to his death, knowing he was innocent. And the innocent man says, "You be doing a kindness to me, boss. You be doing a kindness to me, boss, because the hatred in this place, the anger in this place, it's like splinters in my mind. It's like splinters of glass in my mind. You be doing a kindness. You be doing a mercy to me to deliver me from it." Yeah, Stephen King wrote those. Stephen King that I've never heard confess Jesus. Stephen King that I've never heard make any kind of bold confession about the Lord Jesus Christ. Yet, God has seen fit. God has seen fit through whatever vessel he chooses to bring light, that we might understand. If we have any understanding, that we might see and understand. Yeah, Jesus said, if you loved me, you'd be glad because I go to the Father. So that guy, that warden assigned to walking him down that Green Mile, they all knew. All of them knew. All of the corrections officers knew this guy is a good guy. This guy's a right guy. This guy takes evil into himself and heals people. But it's our assignment because of the law. It's our assignment because of the law to put him to death because he's been found guilty by a jury. He's been found guilty under the law. And so much more, this guy says, don't feel bad for it, brother. Don't feel bad for it, boss. You're doing me a kindness. I'm not laying this on you. You're doing me a kindness. Yeah. If you loved me, you would be glad because I go to the Father. If you loved me. You'd be glad because my assignment here is done. And he would never tell us how terrible that assignment was, because he knew that would kind of shame us. But when we see him in his sufferings, we know he knew how terrible that assignment was. We see what men do to the Christ. We see what men do to the Christ. He doesn't have to tell us what it means to be hated of all men. We see. Oh, bless the Lord. Yeah, obviously you could go to the Matrix if you if you want to kind of, where other things may seem subtle, if you want a heavy dose of obvious, go to the Matrix, where nothing is as it seems. And even the evildoers are just a machine. They're the most machine of everything. You know, we have this illusion. We have this illusion that evil is somehow something other than the machine. Yeah. A sister shared a dream she had years ago. Probably decades ago now, I don't know. When she shared it with me. At least a decade ago, if not 2. But I don't think it was 2. But she said she saw it. And I don't think she even, at that time, understood what she was seeing. But when she shared it with me, man, it just, oh yeah. She said, I walked into this place and it was this great big machine. Huge pillars, metal pillars holding it up. And a big conveyor belt leading to this grinding thing. And she said, I saw a little lamb on the conveyor belt. The huge machine looked, I think she described it, it was just in such its largeness of it, and it's all the appearance of strength of it and establishment of it as something that just could not be resisted. And all it was a grinder, a meat grinder. And she saw this little lamb on it, on the conveyor going toward the grinding. And her heart was so torn for it. Her heart was so torn for it. Thanks be to God. Thanks be to God, her heart was torn for it. And Laura, I don't know if this will find itself to you, but I have not forgotten. Neither have I forgotten you, nor Tom, nor the children. But Laura, bless you. Bless you for not only having sight, but having a heart that is torn for innocence being chewed up by the world. For to see that is to see the Savior. As one not asking for any relief, not asking for any mercy about it toward him, or complaining about it, if I could put it that way, would be better. Regretting it. Not feeling sorry for himself for being that lamb. That might be a better way of understanding it. For he did cry for mercy. He prayed. He prayed with loud cries and tears. But he refused any pity about it and had no self-pity in him at all about it. And it is good that our hearts are torn in beholding him as a lamb, allowing himself to be chewed up for us. So grace to all who watch, and grace to you, Laura and Tom. However you are, wherever you are, be blessed, be encouraged, be comforted. Grace to you all.